Hello, everyone, and welcome to the University of Nottingham, Malaysia Summit. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Patty. I'm your host for the summit, and I'm here today with Ghana Subramaniam, who is head of the School of Education and professor in the School of Education at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. So today we will be discussing the topic of education post-COVID-19. Be ready to meet demands placed on you by revolutionary changes in the 21st century. Very exciting. We'll also be covering the postgraduate education degrees available at UNM in this session, as well as the broader benefits of studying at the university. Now, just before we get properly started, we are streaming live right now on the website, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you guys have tuned in, we'd love to know, we'd love to see you there. So please send through all of your likes and emojis. We'll also be doing a Q&A session at the end of this. So if you have any questions at all, please send them through to us, and we'll have Ghana answer those towards the end of the session. So for myself, being an educator, this topic is really, really close to my heart. COVID has definitely had a huge impact on how I teach, and I definitely feel like there's going to be a new normal in the education industry. So I'm really, really looking forward to what you have to say about this, Ghana. So first of all, if you could please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at UNM.
Thanks, Betty. Thanks for having me on this program. So just a little bit about myself. I'm actually, fortunate enough to be an alumni of the university. I did my master's and then my PhD at the university in the UK. And came back to Malaysia to take up a position at the National University of Malaysia. And when the School of Education started at the University of Nottingham in Malaysia, I thought it was a good idea for me to be part of this new initiative that the University of Nottingham is starting in Malaysia, particularly, beginning a School of Education. So that's how I actually got involved with the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. Now, this is about 11 years ago now, right? And the school has, I've been head of school for about 11 years. And the school has grown through the process. We've incorporated, several undergraduate programs, master's programs, and a PhD program. And I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the School of Education experience because it actually allows us to be innovative in our teaching. It allows us to be innovative about the kinds of programs that we can offer, and also the kind of markets that we can actually reach out to. It is exciting.
That's very exciting, and it's also really exciting to hear that you've been there from the beginning. So. You must have seen a lot of change in the university and in the education sector as well. That's so interesting. How do you think COVID-19 has changed or will change education?
Patty, it's now 2 decades into the new millennium, right? And when the millennium started, we were talking about the impending changes that the millennium is going to bring to everything that we do in life, and particularly education as well. So we were talking about 21st century learning, and then later on we were talking about education 4.0 and how education needs to transform itself, to meet the demands of the 21st century, meet the demands of the future, prepare learners for the future. And indirectly, how an institution like the School of Education needs to prepare its teachers to then prepare learners for the future. So this was something in the horizon for us, and we have all worked on this. But I think up to this point, the kind of progress in these areas have been, for want of a better word, pedantic, very slow. We have taken our time. We think, oh, it's a whole century, so, we have time, and so the innovations around what is required to meet the challenges of the 21st century has been, slow and perhaps calculated, and affected by resources and everything else.
Most definitely.
However, yeah, however, then came COVID, right? And what it did was, it suddenly forced onto us situations that we knew we need to prepare for, right? But took our time preparing. So suddenly teachers were asked to, begin to teach online and begin to use all kinds of technology, that's available, as resources. And we, up to this point, many of us, right, globally, uh, were not prepared for this, right? And we didn't know the range of resources that are available out there that we could use in terms of improving, provisions in education. We also did not perhaps prepare ourselves as educators, right? And prepare future educators to meet this kind of a challenge, right? And the last, 5 months have been a steep learning curve for everyone. Everybody, just looking and finding resources and trying to make the adjustments. So at the School of Education, what we have done is we've been very quick to notice this requirement. In fact, even before this event happened, we were preparing our students for the 21st century, for skills and literacies required by Industry 4.0 and the kind of future demands. And our training incorporated skills in technology, skills in using pedagogies and methodologies, whether you were teaching children, kids, or whether you were going to teach adults, and how the kind of pedagogies and approaches to teaching changes as you move across age groups and also professional backgrounds. So essentially, this is the kind of scenario we are faced with at this point. Yeah.
Most definitely. It's certainly been a testing time for educators, and it's wonderful to hear that you're intertwining more and more of that sort of the online resources that are available into your courses. And do you think this will continue to develop as time goes by, more and more sort of online invested into the programs at the university?
I think, in the foreseeable future, this is going to play a big part, right? And I think once we get started on this and we find that, it has a lot of benefits that it brings, right? And when we are able to then merge this with, our regular face-to-face, scenarios of teaching, then we are going to find we're going to find ourselves in a situation which enables us to do far more than we used to do, meaning achieve far more than we used to achieve. So what we have done in the School of Education is, we recognize that these changes are not just changes to the medium of instruction, meaning that, I'm using technology to teach, or the same way that I used to teach before, right? It's just that I'm now doing it through a monitor or a screen. We have realized that this is not the case. We've realized that teaching on this mode requires more than just using the screen as an online medium of communication, but also using the wide range of resources that are available. And some of these resources are designed specifically for teaching, education, but there are also a lot of resources out there that were never designed for teaching, but could be used, could be innovated for educational purposes. And so what we have done is we've begin to incorporate, we begin to experiment and get our students to experiment with this wide range of resources that are available. And we are researching this as we go along, so that we can continue to innovate and can share these innovations with other people.
That sounds amazing, particularly in this day and age where education is no longer linear. It's not just teacher, classroom. There's so much more than that. There's creativity. There's, a whole skill set and looking at different ways of implementing things, whether it's online or in the classroom. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. In terms of MA Educational Leadership and Management course, who exactly is this designed for?
Okay, the MA Education Leadership Management program for the at the master's level is designed for people who are already in leadership. And you know that in education, a lot of times people grow into leadership positions. As they work in a particular environment, they get promoted and they move on step by step into leadership positions. But that does not mean that they have the appropriate set of knowledge and strategies and skills that are required for them to be, desired, to have the skills of desired leadership, right? So the program is actually designed for people who are in leadership currently. It is also designed for people who aspire. That means younger teachers or teachers who are beginning to go into middle management, but who aspire for higher level leadership as well. But we also have components in this program for teacher leadership. And teacher leadership, we're talking about instructional leadership. We're talking about the kind of curriculum innovations that teachers can make in a classroom. So we also have incorporated these dimensions. So actually, to come to say, it is for anyone who aspires to become a better leader, whether they want to be a leader in the classroom, or a leader managing a group of people, or leader managing an institution.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So for a young educator like myself, if I wanted to refine my leadership skills, even just in the classroom, then this would be the right course for me.
Yes, definitely.
And I could then use what I've learned in this course to maybe pursue a role in management.
Yes, yes. The program contains a range of modules that cover all these aspects. It covers leadership in terms of the kind of philosophies and theories that leaders need to know, so that they can then incorporate different dimensions of different theories into their own leadership approach. But it also contains elements of management, how to manage groups of people, how to manage curriculum, and so on, and also how to manage classrooms, the actual learning environment. Yeah.
It sounds like a really valuable and useful course. Speaking of courses, you offer a whole range of postgraduate programs. Could you tell us more about these courses that are on offer?
Okay, I think one of the interesting aspects of the programs that we offer at the School of Education, while we offer 5 major disciplines as postgraduate programs. The 5 major disciplines is education leadership management, TESOL, teaching of English to speakers of other languages. We have a special and inclusive education strand in the master's program, and we also have a general education strand. Apart from this, we have recently incorporated a postgraduate certificate in higher education for those who aspire to teach in higher education, right? And so that program actually gives them the professional practice that's required to become an efficient higher education teacher, right? So what is interesting about the 4 major master's programs that we offer is that we also have for each of these programs a pathway model to join the master's. So for instance, for each of these programs, we have a postgraduate certificate program. So a student can enroll, at the postgraduate certificate level, and then decide, okay, whether or not he or she wants to remain on this program or exit. But if she decides to remain, she then transfers to the postgraduate diploma program and then transfers on to the master's program with no additional cost, right? With the safety nets of being able to exit at different levels, just in case, the student encounters, either personal or professional issues that, requires the student to, stop for a while, right? So the safety net programs are there within all of these four master's programs: the TESOL, the leadership, the special and inclusive education, and the general education programs.
That's really interesting. So there are a number of pathways to get into these postgraduate programs.
Correct. Yeah.
Wonderful. So in terms of the campus itself, it's in Malaysia, obviously.
Yes.
But could you give us a little bit more information about the campus, where it's located, what it's like?
Okay, the campus is located about 40 minutes from the capital city, Kuala Lumpur, right? And about an hour from the international airport. So it's relatively accessible from both the capital as well as the airport, right? And it also has access to other parts of Malaysia, quite easy to get to other parts of Malaysia if someone's looking at. It is set in a beautiful part of the country. It's very natural. The environment's very natural. It's fresh, and I think students love it because it's kind of a sprawling campus. So there's a lot of space, and people find that they can do quite a lot of things on their campus. It is designed very well. I think the pictures, some of the photographs that you may see on our website or elsewhere will tell you that it's a beautiful campus, and has been designed very, very strategically in terms of how student accommodation and teaching spaces and faculty spaces are all located. So yeah, it's a great place. Have you been? If you've not been, then you should come visit us.
I should definitely come. It sounds like an absolutely amazingly beautiful place to visit and study.
Yeah.
So you've been at the university for 11 years. So you must have seen a lot of students graduate from these programs. Are you able to give us some examples of graduates who have studied with you and things that they've gone on to do after completing these courses?
Okay, I think the main point around this is that, I think what I like to say is that the teachers who graduate, the people who graduate out of the University of Nottingham School of Education are in high demand, right? For instance, our undergraduate students are, 99% of them would have secured a job before they graduate. So the point is, when they go and do their teaching internships, they're already snapped up by the places that they are interning in for permanent positions. On the postgraduate program, we have students from all over the world, right? In fact, the campus is so multinational, right? We've got about 85 different nationalities on campus. So our students are international, and many of them some of them go back to their own countries to work, all right? Some of them stay a while in Malaysia and work in the international schools, in colleges, and in the universities. It's a vibrant environment for education, Malaysia is. And so they stay on in Malaysia and just to gain some experience and work in Malaysia for a few years before they return home or they go elsewhere to work. We've got students who are university professors now in different universities all over the world. We've got students who are CEOs of education organizations, again in Malaysia and elsewhere. we've got students who are senior leaders and managers in schools. And we have got also students. The interesting thing about education is, education is not just about schools and universities and education institutions. It's also about marketing. It's also about publications. It's also about, training. So we've got students in all of these areas. And, we are very proud of our alumni. Even though the school itself is in Malaysia, it's around, 10 to 12 years old. We've got a sizable number of alumni all over the world. Yeah.
That's really interesting and excellent to know how good the employment rate is. So it sounds like any of these postgraduate courses are a great way to sort of maximize what you've already done and maybe, kickstart a new career or move further up in the field of education with quite a high employment rate afterwards. And in terms of, besides the curriculum at the university, can you tell me about any kind of projects or industry lectures or things like that that the students can do whilst they're studying? Okay,
so the way in which we have set up the School of Education in Malaysia is that, we want our students to have a diverse set of experiences when they come and study with us. One of the things, of course, apart from what they learn in the classrooms, right? In fact, in our inductions, we tell our students that, the classroom should perhaps be just 20% of your learning experience in the university. And we offer our students, multiple other ways in which they can learn. We set up internships for them, so they can decide to do internships while they are with us, and we connect them with potential employers where they can go and gain experiences while they are studying. We also engage them in research that we do in the university. So many of them actually, work part-time as research assistants, and also, they learn how to research. They learn, how to actually write up research and how to use the findings of research through the experience. So these are all not part of the formal curriculum of the master's program, but they are built into the postgraduate studies program. We also do a lot of international projects. We do work with leaders in Sri Lanka. We do work with, college educators in Bangladesh, and so on. And we get our students involved to some extent in this projects that we do. So when the training for these leaders take place on campus, we get our postgraduate students to support that training, become training assistants and become training managers, and be part of that organizing team. So all of this enriches their experience. So the theory is applied directly while they are on campus.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like there are some excellent opportunities for students at the university. I would like to hear a little bit more about the internship programs. Does the university organize these? Are they compulsory? They sound amazing. And are they normally domestic or international opportunities?
Okay, the internship is not a compulsory component of the master's program. It is a compulsory component of the undergraduate, but not the master's program. However, we feel that, when students come to us at the master's level, they are keen to also, be exposed to the different work environments globally. I mean, these are students who have come from countries all over the world, and they would also like to experience, how education or how, the role of educators is envisaged in different parts of the world. And therefore, we built this in. And the internship program is both in Malaysia, right, where we because of our network, we are able to connect students with either schools or colleges or institutions, but we're also able to connect students with organizations in other aspects of the education industry, publishing, NGO work, and so on. for different students. You know, they're interested in different aspects of education. So we're able to do that. We also do international internship because we deliver our master's program, for instance, now in Sri Lanka. We run a program in Sri Lanka. We run a program in Mumbai in India, and we also run one in Singapore. And what we do is that we try and connect our students to these partner institutions that we have relationships with, and our students can then go and do internships internationally as well. So it all depends on the student, what the students want, how much time they want to spend on internship, and whether, you know, their focus is on internship, research, training. Yeah. So different students will have different choices. Yeah.
It certainly sounds like a wonderful way to use that education they're learning at the university and move forward with their careers. I can see actually our audience has a lot of questions about the postgraduate programs. So we're going to go through and answer some of those questions. Now, for those guys that have sent in their questions, we won't be able to answer all of them during this session, but we will have someone from the university reply to all of your questions. So if you have any more questions about anything that Ghana has said today, please make sure you send those through. So we're going to go across to some of our questions. I have got Manoj Kumar from India, who is asking about the costs for the master courses, if you're able to give us some information about that, Ghana.
Yeah, sure. Our master's program, you know, for the international students is slightly below 50,000 Malaysian ringgit, you know, and that works out to roughly around 11,500 USD. And the way the fee, in fact, we also have a, you know, a very supportive structure for students to pay their fees. So they can pay the fee in full. They can then, or they can negotiate with the, you know, the finance office for staggered payment of fees based on the modules that they do. So, you know, it's quite flexible in terms of how they pay their fee. So, yeah.
Okay, excellent. A question from Dilshan Kalhara from Sri Lanka. How does the Masters of Education differ from the Masters of Education Leadership?
Okay, the Masters in Education and Leadership is very focused. It focuses specifically on matters related to leadership and management in education, right? All the modules are related. And the focus is very clear. So this is for people who are very sure that that's what they want to do. You know, they want to go into leadership, or they are already in leadership and they need more knowledge and skills in leadership. The Masters in Education, however, has a flexible model. So anyone can join the Masters in Education and opt to select from a series of electives that are offered on the program. There are two core modules. One is the research module is core, and the dissertation module is core. But apart from that, there are a set of electives that students can choose whether they want to choose to experience one linked to language teaching, or they want to pick a module related to special and inclusive education, whether they want to pick a module related to leadership. So they can mix and match the modules based on what they think you know, they need for the current work environment they are in, or what their aspirations are. So that's the flexibility that the MA Education allows compared to the Masters in Education Leadership.
That sounds really interesting, and almost like the student has the power to kind of choose, you know, their own future through choosing their own modules. Really wonderful. Yeah. I have a question here from Joseph Lampley Mills in Ghana. who would like to know if it is best to study a graduate diploma or the master, and he wants to know which will make the biggest difference in his career.
Okay, yeah. In some institutions, you find that you may already have an undergraduate qualification in teaching or in education, and you may have started working in some school or institution. Or that institution may require that, okay, in spite of your undergraduate qualification, you need a postgraduate diploma or a postgraduate certificate, a PGCE or something like that, to supplement your undergraduate qualification to work. So it depends on what the student wants and why he is seeking a particular qualification. But with us, the student's not going to lose. He can come and join and do our postgraduate diploma, and then go back to his work because he feels that this is, and then later he decides, oh, I want to do now my master's program. So all he does is he comes back to us, he transfers the credits on the postgraduate diploma that he has done with us, and then he just completes a dissertation to complete the master's. So he doesn't have to start all over again.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Transferring the credits.
Yeah.
It's really been set up in a way that it's in the hands of the student, really, and what they kind of want in their future. Really interesting. Yes. So I have another question from Rojan Thapa from Nepal, who wants to enroll in the Masters of TESOL, so Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, and wants to know what to do.
Okay, I think TESOL is a good option to think about, especially people who have got aptitude for language. Because in the region or regionally, in the non-native speaking world, largely, you find there's a huge demand for teachers of English, right? And therefore, they're going to be spoiled for opportunities in terms of jobs, provided they're willing to be adventurous and seek the job wherever it's available. So what do they need to be part of the Masters in TESOL? They need a good undergraduate qualification, right? They need to have a second class upper, pass, a 2-1 or a second class upper, as they would say. They need to have, in the undergraduate program, they need to have some teaching component in the undergraduate program, right, that they have. And they can then apply for the master's program and they would get accepted to it. Yeah. And of course, they need to have strong English. Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. Is there, so do you have a test or some such to test it?
Well, we use the international tests, IELTS 6.5 for all our master's programs. Yeah.
IELTS 6.5.
Yeah.
So I've got another question here from Devashi Desai in India, who has done a bachelor in teaching in India and is looking for recommendations of what to do next with their career.
Okay, I mean, we get lots of inquiries like this. And I think the first thing I would ask them is, okay, so what is their aspiration? What is it? Where do they want to see themselves in 3 years' time or 5 years' time? I think they need to reflect on their own, pathways or what they would like to achieve in their careers. And once they've got, some idea in that, then we can advise them in terms of which masters to choose, as a pathway. And also it depends on what is their area of specialism. So if their area of specialism is in maths or science or whatever, and that would also help us to advise them appropriately. I would advise the student to get in touch with us, send us an email, and we will then guide the student, very closely based on, her background or his background to choose.
Okay, excellent. And we'll have one last question from Arun Arona from Bangladesh, who is asking about the scholarships for these programs, if there are any scholarships available.
Okay, we do have scholarships that they can apply for. They can check out the kind of scholarships available. If they go onto our website and go to the scholarship unit, right, they will see a range of scholarships that are offered by the institution, and they can then apply. If they have a very strong undergraduate program, they can apply for high performing student scholarship, right? If they were a previous student of the University of Nottingham anywhere, we have got campus in the UK and in China, so it doesn't matter where they got a qualification from, then they would get an alumni scholarship as well. So there are a range of scholarships that they can look at and apply for. If institutions are looking at working with the university and sending us a cohort of students, then we can enter into a scholarship discussion based on the cohort that they want to send us to. So that's a separate discussion that can be held.
Very interesting. So a lot of pathways to go down if you're looking for a scholarship. So make sure you check those out, guys. That's about all we have time for. So if you sent through any questions, any additional questions, don't worry. We'll have someone from the university send you through a response really soon. And if you have anything additional, please continue to send through any more questions that you have. And also, of course, we invite you to jump onto the website, take a bit of a further look at the courses, and contact the university or apply on the website to some of these great courses. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And thank you so much, Ghana. So much interesting information there. All of those education courses sound amazing, particularly the internships and the job opportunities. It's just everything packaged up really, really well. Also, guys, be sure to tune into our session on student experience, which will be taking place on Thursday, the 6th of July, at 3 p.m. Malaysian time. During that session, I will be interviewing a current student about the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, and their experience. So that's quite exciting. And in case you missed anything or you wanted to go back and listen to something again, we've actually recorded this session and it will be available on the website, on the Summit website, so you can watch it as many times as you like. So thank you again so much for joining us, and thank you again, Ghana, so much for all of your insights.
Thanks, Betty.
And for your time.
It's been great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.